Welcome to another episode of iPrint 3D. Today's episode is sponsored by Tango from Voxeldance. Tango is a slicer software that helps beginners and experts alike to navigate the world of 3D printing. With built-in preset parameters and presets that actually work, even beginners can start to print with just one click. Check it out today at voxeldance.com/tango or see the link in our video's description. Hello everyone, and today's episode is focusing on scaling and some more object manipulation in Tango, and we're going to compare that operation to how that works out with G2Box and Lychee Slicer a little bit later, but for now we're just going to talk about this large object here that does not fit. So in order to make it fit, we're going to orient him a little bit properly. We already talked about rotation and movement in one of our earlier episodes, so this will kind of double over that. You're going to move him around and make sure he's in a good spot. And then we're going to go over to the scale button, and then we're going to click the scale to fit. And that'll push him down, and then we can make him a little bit smaller to give the room some room for some of the support work. Now, that's pretty much it. From here, obviously, he's a big guy, so we'd probably want to hollow him and then punch some holes in him. And of course, we covered this already, but I'm going to go over it again just because I think it's good stuff. Once, of course, you put in your parameters for hollowing, as we talked about in the earlier episode, that's going to go ahead and hollow the character out, and then you're going to want to go to the perforator and punch holes. When you click on the perforator, it's going to give you the perforator options, which is the options for how the holes are going to work. You can make a hole. You can save the hole. There's a lot of options for this. Obviously, you want to change the size of them a little bit, make some of them a little larger, and then we'll punch them into the feet and then the bottom there at the base of the tail, and then reorient him slightly, and then add some supports just to kind of go over the entire process of how we would take this larger scale object and bring it, get it to a complete ready status. Like I said, we're going to make some pretty big holes for the back of the feet, and then we're going to put some smaller holes towards the front of the feet, and then we're going to put some holes in the tail section as well. And this should give it enough aeration and the ability to drain, so that should be fine. Now, if you are working with objects that don't need to be hollowed, obviously, and you're just wanting to scale them down, don't worry about this part of the process. Like I said, we've already covered this. I'm just covering this over again because the hollowing utility is a good one. Once you click OK, that punches the holes out completely, and then you have your holes, you have your model hollowed, and everything is ready to go. From here, the only other thing I'm going to do is just adjust orientation a little bit, and then we'll just do some auto-supporting scripting using one of the smart scripts and see how this looks at the end of the day. And this is a total prep, so you're actually watching something from start to finish here, which we haven't actually done yet, so that's pretty cool. On the support section here, we're going to go with the smart support figure, and I think, or smart support heavy. We're going to go with heavy, and then we'll do the generate auto supports. And this one takes a minute. It's usually a few seconds. I think the longest I've ever seen generation on a script was about 60 seconds, about a whole minute. This one won't take that long. He's a fairly simple object, so supporting him is not going to really be that complex. And almost ready. There we go. Okay. Now he's a little out of bounds, but we can just scoot him forward a little bit so he's within the borders, and he will fit on the build plate, and I think that will print really nicely. So there you go. Scaled, hollowed, perforated, and supported. Ready for slicing. So let's take a look at G2Box Pro, and let's compare the scaling, orientation, and process there. We're not going to go through the whole hollowing process, but we are going to, we did compare that in an earlier episode anyway, so you already saw that. Now, obviously, we got the same thing. Big giant object doesn't fit on our build plate, so we're going to want to go and move him so we can orient him. I absolutely hate the orientation tools in Chitubox. For some reason, they're so jittery. I have a really hard time getting the model to line up exactly the way I want to. I mean, maybe you can tell I dislike the application just a little bit. Anyway, getting the character in a orientation that works is sometimes tricky because you move the mouse ever so slightly and the model just rotates in whichever direction it feels like sometimes. I mean, I know that's not how it's working, but it's very twitchy. I don't love it. Anyway, once you get the character in good orientation, same thing, scale to fit will actually push a little bit further into the boundaries. Chitubox is actually a little bit smarter with how much that pushes it in. Orientation stinks, but that's pretty good. Again, still a big enough object. I would definitely hollow it. Not sure I would trust auto scripting on anything other than Tango with this one. We're going to take a look at the same process as well with Lychee Slicer, just to show you how the process goes in that program as well as a comparison. But yeah, there you go. That's the comparison to Chitubox. All right, same guy, Lychee Slicer now. He is all misoriented, so we're going to move him. By the way, I also tried the auto orientation function in every one of the programs, and nobody really got him into a good orientation, in my opinion. So I didn't even bother putting in the videos. Didn't think it was something worth showing. I'm not sure how many folks use auto orientation for their models anyway. But there we go. I did try it for you. Wouldn't recommend it, to be honest. It's not exactly the cleanest way to orient. I think one of the programs literally put him face down. Not really sure why that. I think it's just got to do with like volume mass density. So it tries to start with the end that seems like the most logical. In this particular sense, did not, in my opinion, seem logical, but hey, here you go. All right. The overall sense here, too, is with anything large, you can definitely hollow them. In the comparison to how the objects move freely in Lychee Slicer versus Chitubox, though, I definitely prefer Lychee Slicer over Chitubox as far as orientation and scaling and movement. Tango's smooth too. Like, I actually don't have any problems with that. The movement, scaling, rotational tools in Tango are actually quite good. I don't have a problem. They're not jittery. Chitubox's main issue is that the controls feel jittery. There's this, not a lag component. It's almost like when you go to move the object, there's a twitchiness to it that, in my opinion, really kind of makes it frustrating to try and get the model into a position where where you want them to be. Accuracy seems to be tricky, in my opinion. But as you can see with the slice by slice and Lychee here, he's a big chunky boy, so he'd still be hollowed regardless of where I put him. But we covered the hollowing thing earlier, so not going to double over on that one again. Back in Lychee Slice, or back in Tango rather, we are just taking a look at the model. If you didn't cover over our earlier episodes where we went over hollowing and some of the other stuff that goes along with that, be sure to check those out. If you missed the first 3 episodes that came out already where we talked about the auto support scripts, again, please go check those out. Tango is a pretty awesome piece of software as far as its versatility goes. So I highly recommend you guys check out the free trial, give it a whirl, see what it can do for you. Maybe it will improve your printing. Maybe you'll find a way to make it work into your workflow. We certainly have, and we don't regret it. So it's a great piece of software. It's a wonderful tool. We highly recommend checking it out. Anyway, we have more episodes coming next week for Tango, and we hope to round up this series with 3 more episodes with a total of 9. Hope you all enjoyed it. See you soon.